Double lives, 10 iconic figures from the 19th and 20th centuries who were also spies. Espionage is an age-old practice that has forever intrigued humanity. Whether we look at biblical stories or James Bond films, spies have always been a subject of great fascination. However, what's more surprising is that some of the most iconic personalities from the 19th and 20th centuries led double lives as spies. Here's a look at 10 such figures, each with their unique blend of influence and subterfuge. Number 1. Mata Hari, the sensual enigma and double agent. Mata Hari, born as Margaretha Geertruid Azel in Leeuwarden, Netherlands, on August 7, 1876, emerged as an exotic dancer and courtesan who captivated the European elite. During World War I, her complicated relationships with military men put her under scrutiny. Arrested on February 13, 1917, in Paris, she was accused of spying for both Germany and France. The French believed that she had caused the deaths of at least 50,000 soldiers due to her intelligence leaks. Despite the allure of her story and her own claims of innocence, Mata Hari was executed by a firing squad on October 15, 1917. Her actual espionage activities and allegiances remain a subject of debate and speculation. Number 2. Kim Philby, the man behind the Cambridge Five. Harold Adrian Russell Kim Philby was born on January 1, 1912, in Umballa, British India. A graduate of Cambridge University, he was recruited by Soviet intelligence agencies and rapidly climbed the ranks of the British intelligence services. From the early 1940s to 1963, Philby leaked an incalculable amount of classified information to the Soviet Union, significantly affecting Cold War dynamics. His treachery was discovered in the early 1960s, leading him to defect to the Soviet Union on January 23, 1963, where he lived until his death in 1988. His deep infiltration of MI6 and the trust he garnered make his espionage activities one of the most shocking betrayals in intelligence history. Number 3. Josephine Baker, the Jazz Age spy. Josephine Baker was born on June 3, 1906, in St. Louis, Missouri, USA. Known for her electrifying performances and flair, she was more than just an entertainer. During World War II, Baker joined the French resistance, using her international tours as a cover to smuggle messages and gather intelligence. Her café society connections enabled her to eavesdrop on conversations of strategic importance. For her wartime efforts, the French government awarded her the Croix de Guerre and the Légion d'honneur, two of the country's highest military honors. Number 4. Aldrich Ames, the deadly CIA mole. Aldrich Hazen Ames was born on May 26, 1941, in River Falls, Wisconsin. Ames joined the CIA in 1962 and rose through the ranks, eventually becoming responsible for counterintelligence efforts against the Soviet Union. However, from April 1985 until his arrest on February 21, 1994, Ames was a double agent for the Soviet Union and later, Russia. His betrayal led to the exposure of at least 100 U.S. intelligence operations and the execution of at least 10 American assets in Russia. Arrested with his wife Rosario, Ames was sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole on April 28, 1994. Number 5. Richard Sorge, the Soviet spy in Japan's inner circles. Born on October 4, 1895, in Baku, Azerbaijan, then part of the Russian Empire, Richard Sorge served as a German journalist and a Soviet military intelligence officer. Positioned in Tokyo, Japan, from the late 1930s through 1941, he posed as a Nazi sympathizer while sending invaluable information to the Soviet Union. His most significant intelligence contribution came when he alerted the Soviets that Japan had decided not to attack the Soviet Union in 1941. This allowed the Soviet Union to transfer its troops from the Far East to reinforce the Western Front during Operation Barbarossa. Sorge was arrested by Japanese authorities on October 18, 1941, and was executed on November 7, 1944. Number 6. Julius and Ethel Rosenberg, the Cold War espionage case that shocked America. Julius Rosenberg was born on May 12, 1918, and Ethel Rosenberg, née Greenglass, was born on September 25, 1915, both in New York City. Julius was an American engineer involved in the U.S. Army Signal Corps, and Ethel was a secretary and a homemaker. During the height of the Cold War, they became embroiled in one of the most infamous espionage cases in U.S. history. In 1950, the Rosenbergs were arrested and accused of passing secrets related to the atomic bomb to the Soviet Union. The trial that ensued was a media sensation, exacerbated by the Cold War tensions between the United States and the Soviet Union. The Rosenbergs were convicted in 1951 of conspiracy to commit espionage, based mainly on the testimonies of Ethel's brother, David Greenglass, and his wife, Ruth. Despite international protests and pleas for clemency, Julius and Ethel Rosenberg were executed in the electric chair on June 19, 1953. The Rosenberg case remains controversial to this day, with some claiming that the couple was unjustly convicted or that Ethel was, at the very least, less involved than initially thought. Their execution has been a point of ethical and judicial debate, but what's undeniable is the magnitude of their case and its enduring legacy in discussions about espionage, justice, and the Cold War. Number 7. Belle Boyd, the Siren of the South. Born on May 9, 1844, in Martinsburg, Virginia, now West Virginia, Isabel Belle Boyd was a Confederate spy credited with providing key tactical information to Generals Stonewall Jackson and P.G.T. Beauregard during the American Civil War. She began her espionage activities in 1861 and was arrested and imprisoned multiple times, yet always managed to secure her release. She was eventually exiled to Canada in 1864 and later moved to England. Boyd became one of the most notorious spies of the era, writing a memoir about her exploits that further elevated her legend. Number 8. Roald Dahl, the literary genius with a double life. Roald Dahl, born on September 13, 1916, in Llandaff, Wales, is best known for his enchanting children's stories. However, during World War II, Dahl served as a fighter pilot and later as an intelligence officer for the British Security Coordination. Posted in the United States, Dahl's mission was to gather intelligence and help sway public opinion in favor of American involvement in the war. He mingled with politicians and high society figures, collecting information and influence. After the war, he turned to writing, creating some of the most beloved children's stories of the 20th century. Number 9. Ian Fleming, the man behind James Bond, was no stranger to espionage. Ian Fleming, born on May 28, 1908, in London, England, served in the British Naval Intelligence Division during World War II, participating in planning operations and overseeing various intelligence activities. He was involved in the planning of Operation GoldenEye, aimed at ensuring Allied communications in the event of a German invasion of Spain. Fleming's wartime experiences and connections within the intelligence community undoubtedly influenced his creation of James Bond, a character who became the epitome of the suave, skilled intelligence operative. The first James Bond novel, Casino Royale, was published in 1953 and kicked off a franchise that still captures imaginations worldwide. Number 10. Violette Szabo, the real-life female James Bond. Violette Szabo was born in Paris on June 26, 1921, to a British father and a French mother. During World War II, she became an operative for the British Special Operations Executive, SOE. Trained in weapons and communications, she undertook dangerous missions in occupied France to sabotage German operations. Captured by the Nazis during her second mission, she was subjected to torture and interrogation before being executed at Ravensbrück concentration camp in early 1945. Szabo was posthumously awarded the George Cross, the United Kingdom's highest award for gallantry not in combat, for her extreme bravery and sacrifice. Number 11. Charles Lindbergh, the polarizing pilot who drew suspicion. Charles Lindbergh, born on February 4, 1902, in Detroit, Michigan, gained international fame for his nonstop solo flight across the Atlantic in 1927. However, his relationship with Nazi Germany in the years leading up to World War II raised serious concerns. Lindbergh visited Germany multiple times, accepted a German medal, and was an outspoken advocate against U.S. involvement in the war. These actions led many to suspect him of having Nazi sympathies or even being involved in espionage. Although he later contributed to the U.S. war effort, training pilots and flying in combat missions as a civilian consultant, the cloud of suspicion never fully lifted. Number 12. Albert Einstein, a scientific genius with a file. Albert Einstein was born on March 14, 1879, in Ulm, Germany. Best known for his theory of relativity, Einstein emigrated to the US in the early 1930s due to the rise of Nazism. A staunch pacifist turned advocate for the Allied war effort, Einstein's left-leaning political views drew the attention of J. Edgar Hoover, the director of the FBI. Amid the Red Scare and rising anti-communist sentiments in the US, the FBI compiled a file on Einstein that grew to nearly 1,800 pages. The file aimed to explore suspicions that he was a communist sympathizer or even a spy. However, despite this extensive scrutiny, no evidence to substantiate these claims was ever produced.